shakalaka!
Get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam.
Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown! And the Cavaliers by three. And welcome to the jam. Come on and slam. You wanna
Yo-ho! Welcome back, friends, to the Ultimate Warriors podcast. We're excited to be back. I'm Ben Christopher, and I'm joined, as always, by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Teddy Ballgame. Ted, how you doing?
I'm good. I have a little bit of allergies going on right now, so I might be clearing my throat a lot today, but I'm going to fight through it.
That's what the mute button's for if you need it.
I didn't even know there was a mute button.
Well, good. That means you don't need to use it. How was your weekend?
It was good. What did I even do this weekend? I don't remember. I did some golfing. I actually walked in on my roommate. I think he was out on a date, and I actually got seated right next to him, and he didn't see me. So I bought him a shot, the most girliest shot I could get, and had the bartender drop it off to him. So that was pretty funny. But how was your weekend?
That was the best part of my weekend because I actually was with you, and that
Right.
was absolutely hilarious. But no, my weekend was fine. I got my second COVID shot. I got the Pfizer, the number 2, yesterday about 4:30 p.m. Before you and I had that dinner and walked in on your roommate's blind date, which was absolutely hilarious. And I felt fine. And then I woke up at about 5 o'clock this morning, and I've had a fever, terrible headache. Not really feeling good, but I'm here for the fans. You know, it's like the Jordan flu game. You know, this
That's
is
right.
probably going to be a masterpiece. I mean, Jordan did it. I can do it. But before we get started, we have a third Ultimate Warrior, your DJ's favorite DJ, the best DJ around, really. He made a little something to tell you guys what to expect from the show. So I'm going to let Andrew Smith take it away here for the next minute. So, Andy, why don't you let everyone know what to expect from our show?
DJ Andrew Smith.
R.I.P. DMX. I am back again, just like your old ex. Now where the hood at? CLE. I'll be riding on this beat like an ATV. Now Ben Chris in the building and he's popping on them bottles. 20/20 vision with the Horace Grant goggles. Coming in hot, hitting you with the facts while he's screaming. Cause name like his name is Big Shaq. Now Teddy's living large and he's up in his mansion. 15 girlfriends, haters can't stand him. GQ Mag says the boy's so handsome. He'll steal your lady's heart and leave you with no ransom. Big old swagger, yo, that's my persona. Still running laps, even with Corona. All the tracks, and this is a burner. Call me Mr. Big Shot, but no Moderna.
Oh, that was a good one. We haven't got one from him in a while. That was refreshing.
It's been a couple weeks. He's a busy guy, but the funniest part is he actually has Corona right now. So
Does he really?
running laps even with Corona was like a pretty good line. But he never fails. I mean, like DMX, he gonna give it to you. You know, I mean, he gave him a little tribute. He's gonna give it for you. But Ted, we are here for hoops. We're here for the NBA. We are mostly here for the Cavs. So let's take a look at the past week for our beloved Cleveland Cavaliers. We had 3 games, and like normal, I'm going to give you a good and a bad from each of those games. So the first game was April 14th. It was the Cavs versus the Hornets, and this was a good game for our guys. First fun fact, not a single Cavs player had a negative plus-minus. You know that's my favorite stat. And not a single player on the Hornets had a positive plus-minus. So pretty cool to see that. Ted, you want me to go with the good or the bad from that game first?
Hit me with the good.
The good. All right. So Taurean Prince, this dude had himself a game. He
Yes, he
scored 25 points. He was 6 of 8 from the 3-point line. He also had a team high plus 15. I love that stat. So that's the plus minus. The other good, I mentioned everybody, was positive in that stat, but it was great to see Kevin Love. He threw up a double-double. He had 17 points and 11 boards. So that's my good. As far as my bad goes, the Hornets, they were very, very undermanned. They did not have LaMelo Ball. There was no Gordon Hayward. So this win, it wasn't really against their full team. The other bad news, it hurt our draft lottery pick, potentially. So, And honestly, I never want to see a team lose on purpose. I like to get our young guys wins. I do not want a losing culture. So let's keep these guys winning. But if you're looking at a bad, that's something that could be there. And other than that, we kind of kicked their ass this game. It was 103-90. Ted, was there anything you saw in that one?
Yeah, I was watching that game. Prince was outrageous. He was just hitting big shots. Anytime they'd start making a run on us, he would just hit a three. He was 6 of 8 from 3 that game. So he was impressive. Like you said, LaMelo and Hayward were out though. So I kind of thought we would win that one. And it is weird watching the Cavs games now because when I'm watching, I want us to win. But the big picture, I do want us to start losing so that we have that better chance in the lottery. But yeah, they played well that game. Garland had 17 and 7 as well, so he played pretty well. But yeah, I kind of thought we might win that one with no LaMelo and Hayward.
I was listening to a podcast this past week, and Darius Miles was on it. So we love Darius Miles. He didn't play for the Cavs long, but he was super exciting, really fun on the Clippers. Yeah. And he was talking about that year before we got LeBron. He was on that team. And just how the culture was, they didn't even want to win. The fourth quarter would come and they're like, hey, where are we going to dinner? Like, I don't want that for our guys. So I want to see us keep winning. Last year was the Timberwolves. The year before that, like the Pelicans won and got Zion Williamson, and they weren't the worst team. I mean, you never know what's going to happen there. So I know you get a few more percentage points, but install that culture. Like, keep the culture going. I don't want our guys to feel like they're not here to win.
You're right. And we already have a lot of young guys too. So we do want to, play hard every game. So I agree with you there.
Yeah. So the next game, Cavs versus Warriors. So this is April 15th. We were riding high off the win over the Hornets. This one hurt worse than most losses do because it was the Warriors, and they beat us 119-101. It always hurts worse when it's the Warriors. And I don't know, I guess with that, Ted, you want the good or the bad news first?
Give me the bad first on this one.
There's a lot of bad news here, Ted. My first one, Kevin Love. He continues to suck against the Warriors. He had just 5 points. He was 2 for 10 shooting and just 1 for 7 from the 3-point line. And the Warriors, they've been a terrible matchup for K-Love for years. Draymond Green, it's just a tough matchup for him. But I was hoping this time, with him recently coming back from injury, coming off a double-double, that we might have a good game from Mr. Kevin Love. And the really, really bad news, and this was really depressing, the last time the Cavs beat the Warriors in the regular season, do you know when it was?
Don't tell me it was the Christmas game when Kyrie hit the game winner.
It was Christmas of 2016, so the 16-17 season. And
That's
we were
brutal.
coming off our first finals win ever. It was, of course, against the Warriors. They just signed Kevin Durant. So everybody was like, Warriors, Warriors, Warriors. And the Cavs beat them. It was awesome. It was our first meetup since the finals. Kyrie hits the game winner over Klay Thompson. Probably my favorite regular season game of all time. But that was just a really long time ago. So I really want more wins over these guys. Like, since really we only had one other win. It was in the 2017 finals, which I'm really happy happened because the Warriors would have been perfect in those playoffs. They would have been 16-0, and we screwed that up. So that's good. But That was way too long ago. I need more wins against the Warriors because every time we lose them, it just hurts more. So
that's insane too. Oh my gosh.
The good news though, Ted, is that the Cavs did win the 2016 championship over these Warriors, coming back from the 3-1 deficit to complete the greatest comeback in NBA Finals history. And that's most of the good news. From the actual game, Sexton had 30 points. That was pretty cool, but there was a lot more bad than good from that particular game. Did you see anything in that one?
Well, what I noticed from that is we actually had what I think was planned to be our starting lineup for like the first time this year with we had Allen, Love, Okoro, Sexton, and Garland all in the starting lineup, and we had Nance off the bench. So it's good that we're at least getting healthy. Maybe those guys can build some chemistry for next year. But yeah, Garland's in a little bit of a shooting funk right now. And like you said, Love was 2 of 10. So I think they shot a combined 9 of 30. Two of your best scorers are shooting under 33%. You're not gonna win most games. So it was an ugly one, and it definitely stung with it being the Warriors.
I hate it. Anytime we lose to them, I just hate it. So after that game, so on Saturday the Cavs played the Bulls. That would have been April 17th. And this was a game that the Cavs should have been able to win. The Bulls, they were on a 5-game losing streak, and they were losing to some of the worst teams in the league. They lost to the Magic, to the Timberwolves. These next two teams aren't terrible, but they're not great. They lost to the Grizzlies twice and the Hawks. So coming off a 5-game losing streak, we couldn't get it done. So again, Ted, you want the good or the bad? What do you want first?
Hit me with the bad.
Okay. So we lost to the Bulls team, again, on a 5-game losing streak without their best player, Zach LaVine. And you just can't lose that game. I mean, we're trying to get these guys ready to go. We lost to this terrible team. Also, Kevin Love, he was 2 for 10 from 3. Yep. So that means in the last 2 games, Kevin Love was 3 for 17, a.k.a. 17% from the 3-point line. That's not very great from a guy who is a stretch 4.
Right.
So that is the bad news. The good news, we had 3 players in double-doubles, 3 players who had double-doubles. One of them was Kevin Love, who, he laid an egg against the Warriors. He shot terribly, but he did have 14 points and 11 boards. So not a great game, but it is a double-double. Jared Allen, 10 points, 11 boards. Again, really not a great game, but it's a double-double. And the best game definitely came from Darius Garland. Garland put up 22 points and 12 assists, and I love it when any of our guards are in double-digit assists. It's not normally Colin Sexton, so it's usually Darius Garland when it happens.
Right.
And Darius Garland, he had a team high +4 in that plus-minus category. So the winner of the week, the best game of the week, I'm giving it to Garland. I love that 12 assists. Keep moving the ball. Keep getting people involved. Anything from you that game, Ted?
I agree with you. I love that he got 12 assists. He did play pretty well. He still didn't shoot tremendous that game. I think it was just 9 of 21. But still, if he's getting 12 assists, I mean, that's a solid game. Sexton was only 8 of 20. But I'll tell you, what the main reason why we lost, Ben? You know what it was?
What's that?
It's because we didn't play Dean Wade that game. He got 0 minutes.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. What do you think about Dean Wade? Do you think he could be a role player for us moving forward?
I think he can be a role player. He can shoot the ball. I mean, he's not going to be LeBron James. He's not going to be a guy who, takes you to win the finals, but he definitely can be a guy that comes off the bench and hits some buckets for you in some big games. Yeah.
He's been getting a lot of minutes he was when we had some of those injuries. And I thought he hits open shots. He plays good defense and he rebounds well. So
yeah,
I think he might be able to carve out a role as a role player playing 15 minutes a game or so. So
definitely. So as we are recording, we are about to start playing the Pistons. Any predictions on tonight's game, Ted? We're playing the Pistons. What you think we'll get a W here? What do you think happens?
Pistons suck. I think we are going to get the win today. The Pistons are, what are they? They're 17-40 right now. So
not great.
And I think they were last in the most recent power rankings that came out on ESPN too. So we should be able to win this one. I'll be disappointed if we lose.
Well, yeah, I think we should get the W as well. Like you said, I want us to win. I want that winning culture. I don't want our young guys to experience all the losing. But if we lose, I won't be that upset because it'll just help our draft position. So that being said, I should mention we are a part of the Mark One Sports Network. We have all kinds of great shows. You can check us out, mark1sports.com. You can Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, wherever it is. All of our shows are on there. We have CLE Tribecast. The Cleveland Indians have started. Shane Bieber is looking like a man possessed. Probably going to win another Cy Young. Jeremy and Kevin will keep you up to date on everything Cleveland Indians. We also have the Danger Zone. I mean, look, the Browns' best season I've ever experienced last year. We just had some nice signings this offseason. The draft is coming up. Josh and Rich will keep you up to date, all things Cleveland Browns. And then the Mark One Sports Show, that's our flagship show. Ethan Tabor is there. He talks about everything sports, news, movies, whatever is hot, he is covering it and talking about it. He's had some great interviews like the Twisted Tea guy, right when that went viral. He got him on the show. It was fantastic. We also have Moneyline DFS, where Ethan gives you all kinds of tips for free about all of your fantasy sports, baseball, basketball, anything. He is kicking some ass in that, so you're definitely going to want to take that in. So with that being said, let's get back to the NBA. We've talked a little bit of Cavs. So, Ted, there was a few things goofy this past week. The number one thing I want to talk about, LaMarcus Aldridge. What happened with him? He just decided to retire. Like, what's the deal there?
Yeah, so he was having a irregular heartbeat apparently last game. And it scared him so much that he decided he was just gonna go ahead and retire. Now, I never done anything like that, but it sounds pretty dangerous. So I don't blame him. But he's been a great player. I don't think he would have helped much this past year. He was way past his prime, obviously. And obviously he signed with the Nets once the Spurs let him go. But he had a great career. He averaged 19.4 points per game and 8.2 rebounds for his career. Could potentially be a Hall of Famer. He was really good when he was on Portland. He spent 9 years there.
Yep.
And he was one of the best power forwards in the game. He made 5 All-NBA teams and 7 All-Star appearances. So really solid career. He's honestly probably the last of the old school power forwards. Get him on the block. With the way the NBA's played now, you don't see a lot of those guys. Well, at least you don't run your offense through them anymore. So it's kind of sad to see him go. He had a great career. He never got his championship. He was hoping to get one by going to Brooklyn, but unfortunately it's not going to work out for him. But what are your thoughts on Aldridge retiring?
Well, so as far as his career goes, I was super bummed when he left Portland. Him and Damian Lillard, they were a fantastic combo. Apparently Aldridge was a little bit upset. He thought that, the organization was favoring Lillard, and Aldridge at that time, like you said, was like a 5-time All-Star. When he went to the Spurs, they had a fantastic team that first year with Kawhi Leonard. They had a chance to beat the Warriors, and then unfortunately Kawhi went down in game 1 when they were up like 25 points in the third quarter and ended up losing. So I feel like his Spurs career is always going to be a little bit underrated because they never really accomplished much, because after that Kawhi decided he was going to leave and, sold out, didn't play. So Aldridge never really got the team he thought he was going to get. But as far as his, as the Nets, I mean, he played 5 games for them this season, not a lot. And he was not the same Aldridge, like you mentioned, that he was in Portland and San Antonio. He was averaging just 12.8 points, 4.8 rebounds. But that being said, I do think that he could have helped against some of the bigs in the league, like Joel Embiid. They very well may see them in the 76ers in the East playoffs. And then Anthony Davis, who if they make it to the finals, we both know the Lakers are going to be there. So he would be really good to have. It puts a lot of pressure on DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin, and they're going to have to work their asses off against these bigs on the other teams. It also puts some pressure on Kevin Durant, who's likely going to have to guard some of the centers at certain times during some of these playoffs games. So
yeah,
they still have the best big three in the league with Kyrie, Durant, and Harden. But, I mean, this definitely hurts them some.
It does. It definitely puts more pressure on DeAndre Jordan, I'd say. Yeah. But he's probably – I mean, Aldridge was obviously better than him, still even being towards the end of his career. So,
yep. So there was another big loss this week, and that is Jamal Murray. And he is now out for the Nuggets, who a lot of people thought may have been a championship contender. So – Ted, how do you think this affects the Nuggets, how it affects the Western Conference? What are your thoughts on the Jamal Murray loss?
Ben, this one sucks.
It does. It does.
Yeah. The Nuggets are my favorite team to watch. And with him being out, I did think they had an outside chance of making it to the finals. Jokic has been an MVP. He's the MVP frontrunner right now. But without Murray, they have no chance. They might be able to win a playoff round, depending on who they play, which I think they're lined up against the Lakers right now, so that I don't see them winning that one without Murray.
Yeah. If the Lakers are healthy, there's no chance.
Right. It just sucks because I loved watching that team, and they're not going to have a chance now. It might help Jokic with his MVP case, though. He's probably going to get even more usage now and boost the stats a little bit, so that could be kind of cool. But yeah, it's good news for the teams out west, Lakers, Suns, Clippers, but it sucks for NBA fans and the Nuggets for sure. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I mean, Murray was having a freaking season, man. I mean, he had his career high in points and assists this year. So he was really, he stepped up. Last year, he surprised most people in the playoffs. Nobody really expected him to do what he did. But this year, he just kind of continued that. And, last year they made it to the West Finals. They took out one of the favorites to win the championship last year, the Los Angeles Clippers. They took them out. Right. And, they lost, I think it was 4-1 against the Lakers, but one of those was on a game winner. I think it was game 2 or game 3, where it really would have been bad if the Lakers lost. AD hit a game winner from 3 to give them – that win. And I think that just took all the momentum away from the Nuggets. So without Murray,
they had an overtime win too, the Lakers in that series.
It's a closer series than you see if you look and see that 4-1. There was some really big wins there by the Lakers, and Murray played fantastic, but without him, I mean, they're done. The West is stacked. I would be like Jokic he'll probably win MVP. I think that's, most people say it's either him or Embiid, and Embiid has missed some time this year. So it's probably going to be him. But without Murray, his second best player, I doubt that they win a series in the West playoffs. Yeah.
I mean, Porter Jr. has been playing pretty well for them, but still, without Murray, I don't see them make a run, unfortunately.
Yep. No, but speaking of the playoffs, what are some of the playoff matchups that you would just like to see? Like, what are some that would be fun to watch, this summer?
Yeah. So in the East, I was just looking at the standings, and Celtics Hawks would be the 4-5 matchup right now. And I'm excited to watch the Hawks. They don't really get played on TV very often. But since they fired their, Trae Young, and since they fired their coach, they've been 17-6, which is absolutely crazy. They were 14-20, fired the coach, and they've been 17-6 since. So
that sounds like my fantasy season, except the opposite, because I started off like 7-1, and then I lost like 6 in a row.
Oh, crap. I don't know if I set my lineup today.
Oh, Ted, you're in the playoffs, buddy.
I know. I'm going to have to look right once we're done here. But, I'm excited to watch that one. Celtics are always – I like watching Tatum and Brown and Smart and those guys. So I'm excited for that one. And then later on, in the East. I really hope we get to see a Philly versus Nets matchup.
Yes.
I know they've been talking some trash, and I think that one could get heated.
That is my number one East matchup. I would love to see it, and especially with Aldridge out. That's what we talked about. Like DeAndre Jordan. I mean, are you going to keep him on the floor? They're going to foul him, and they'll hack a DeAndre, hack a Jordan, whatever, hack a Shaq. But who else is like? Is Kevin Durant going to be guarding Joel Embiid? Like,
or Blake Griffin. They picked up Blake Griffin too.
And it's not the Blake Griffin from 5 years ago. Like it's
no.
So
he was never that good at defense either.
Yeah, that is my number one matchup to watch. I also would like to see the Sixers and the Bucks. There's a little bit of history. They played in the playoffs, and I would like to see them again. I'd like to see the Greek Freak, Joel Embiid. Like that would just be a lot of fun.
I would like to see I hope the Heat end up playing the Bucks in the first round because the Heat upset them last year on their run.
Right.
There was a little bit of bad blood there. So I would like to see that one too.
Definitely.
But what about out West?
Oh, man, I've got some good. So this is like a dream scenario, and it probably won't happen. But my favorite matchup that I could see out West would be the Warriors versus the Lakers. Because the Warriors, they're in that play-in tournament. Steph Curry is going nuts. They're playing pretty well right now. I would love to see LeBron take down the Warriors.
That would be nice.
As a Laker. I would love to see that. So that is a far shot. It's probably not going to happen, but I would love that. And then, of course, the Battle of LA. I mean, everybody expected it last year. Lakers, Clippers. We never got it. The Nuggets took them out. Lakers handled their business. They won the NBA championship. So I think that would be really fun. And then the Clippers and the Mavericks. If you remember last year, they had a pretty good first round series, and there was a game where Kristaps Porzingis was ejected for some super weak sauce in like the third quarter when the Mavericks were up. The Clippers came back and won. They ended up winning the series 4-2, I believe. And they won that game, and the Zinger was going off that game. So I would like to see it. Plus, you get Luka Doncic. I mean, that would just be a good series. I'd like to see that as well. How about you?
I'm interested in any matchup with the Mavericks. It's looking like they're going to either play the Jazz and the Suns are the 1 and 2 right now. So the Mavericks might have to go through that play-in tournament at 7. I think they're sitting at 7 right now. So I think they would have a real chance of upsetting either one of those teams. Honestly, I mean, the way Luka played in the playoffs last year, it was
fantastic,
outrageous. And I think they would have a legit shot at beating either of those teams. So I'm excited for that.
I'm also looking forward to any of the Suns series. I mean, the Suns have not made the playoffs since Steve Nash, who is now the Brooklyn head coach. So, like, I love that team with Devin Booker, Chris Paul, like DeAndre Ayton. Like, I am looking forward to seeing them play anybody.
Honestly, I think the whole West, the whole West side is going to be fun to watch. Any matchup, pretty much. And obviously, I want to see the Battle of LA since we didn't get it last year. But I would say any matchup with the Mavs, I'm most excited for out West.
I'm pulling for the Suns in any series unless they're against the Lakers because I want another one.
What if Chris Paul won his championship with the Suns? How wild would that be? He's never won one, and then he goes to the Suns.
People say he's like the best point guard of all time, and he's never made it to a conference finals.
He did with the Rockets.
With the Rockets before the Rockets.
Then he got hurt. They might have beat the Warriors that year too.
Right. That was the year. That was the year they were up 3-2, and then Paul, at the end of the game too, it was like a freak thing at the end of the game. Like hurt his knee. Terrible. He was awesome in that series too.
He was. I think they would have won if he played.
There's no doubt because they were up in both of those games, double digits in the second half, and like couldn't pull it out. So having that caliber of a player, that they've got to win it. So Ted, we're almost done here. Do you have an obscure Cav for us? Let's see.
I do.
Yeah.
You have one here for you. So he played on 6 different teams. He was drafted 8th overall and was an all-rookie first-teamer in 2006. He played on the Cavs from 2015 to 2019 and is now retired. And he played a center/forward and was known for his shooting ability. Yes.
Boom. I didn't get your last couple, so I'm glad that I got this one.
I thought you might get that one. Channing Frye's he's a cool guy. Everybody remembers him.
Yeah, Channing Frye. Heck yeah, man. Well, hey, that's all that we have for you guys today. Thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you're still listening, it means you enjoyed the show. Make sure to give us a like, subscribe, review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. And Ted, anything to add before we peace out here?
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and never forget, Warriors blew a 3-1 lead.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Seconds. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again.